Hey, my name is Rexis and we continue our third YouTube tutorial video about the new eWPDA tool. Alright, so we imported the eWPDA tutorial, which you can recap in the description down below. Make sure to watch the first and second video and grab the zip file to just follow what I'm doing here or play around yourself. Alright, to explain how the tool works, you need also a little bit of knowledge how the PDA works. For that, let me explain quick the structure. So first of all, you have here the categories, the PDA categories. After the categories, you have a chapter, then you have the tasks, and then you have an action. A task can have infinite actions. Like the chapters, they can have infinite tasks. The only thing you have to keep in mind is the tasks is always a waterfall system, so it goes from top to bottom. You have to do a task one by one. Actions are randomly, so for example, if you do this mission here and you do not mine promethium at the beginning but cesium, it will also work. So make sure to structure your PDA in a good way and to not confuse players in doing something they don't know if they should it doing now or later. Alright, so regarding the tool, you have the option, of course, to create a new chapter, new tasks, or new actions with simplified symbols for now. As I said, I will make it more shiny and bling bling later on. For now, I focus on the functional part. So I hope there are no bugs or anything. If so, please let me know in the forum. Alright, so if we want to get started, I recommend to keep following hotkey in mind. And I will also post it on the about page, probably a hotkey spreadsheet. But the most important thing to know is you can rearrange the chapters or tasks or actions. Doing it is simple. You just left mouse button, click and hold, drag and drop, and then you can rearrange. This is sometimes useful to have a kind of a system, an order here. But to make more use of this method, sometimes it's important and very useful to duplicate your chapters or tasks or actions. For example, you want to do this mission here, but instead of ores you want ingots, so you don't have to make this chapter here from scratch again, but you can just copy paste it. So for this, let me show you here. You hold and you press and hold the control key, and now the left mouse button, click and hold and drag. And now let's drag it here, and now you have an exact duplicate of this chapter here, and then you can rearrange again. And yeah, now these two are different. For example, if you have here a 2 and here a 1, you see they work differently, so you duplicated it. As I said, this is sometimes very useful. In the next step in the future, we will implement a method to completely copy chapters or whatever from a different PDA kind of a system of a clipboard to this tool here to make it fully mergeable. All right, so let me remove this one here, and this is so to speak the tree. And as I said, if you press F5 or reload the page, this will be stored, so you can just continue where you left off, even if you collapsed this one and you only want to work here. You can just refresh the page and you're good to go. So what we need to know is how to make use of this section here. This is very important, and you have to keep in mind that it's really separated by three things. This is the chapter view, where you have chapter specific stuff like rewards or no skip. Then you have the task view, which sometimes has the same as the chapter, but most of the time it's different. And then you have, of course, the action, which is the most important thing in your PDA, because this here is your check. This is the event listener for the game and waiting for a player interaction. There are a couple of checks which the player can do, and depending on the trigger point, the game will do something. For example, here in a kind of a tutorial for the player, he should open a box, a container personal. And you say here you want to check as soon as an inventory is opened, and we specify it with a container personal, do something. In this case, this will be completed, and then it bubbles up what you defined here, checks here, for example. So if he is doing it, he will get for this task here this as a reward, a laser rifle and a little bit of ammunition. And then this task is basically done, and he moves on to the second task. And here it's the same. The action requires from the player to open a window, and the window is in this case an NPC trader. And this was the idea to simulate a trade a player should do. Overall, this is a kind of a quick and dirty copy of the Invader versus Defender 2 scenario. Alright, let me continue in preparing our next tutorial regarding examples, and best to show you the usage with the example, right? So in this case, let's do a solo mission, a new solo mission, and we call it pizza delivery. A very simple one, and you can customize it as you want, of course. So for me personally, the most challenging or time-consuming thing about PDA is coming up with text. So anyways, description, let's only hot is hot, I don't know. And it needs, of course, a task and a chapter. Always make sure to have a complete structure. And we say pick up the pizza or pizzas, and as an action we want him to grab 3 pizzas. Make sure to grab them as long as they are hot. Alright, easy enough. The red border you saw is basically every time you add a new action and the game requires from you to make it complete with a description. In some cases, if you do not have a description, there might be an error coming up. So we have a pizza delivery chapter, we have a task, and we have an action. In general, it's a little bit tricky, at least for me, because I like to have a clean structure, but for me it's not always easy to see a difference between a task and an action, because both things are semantically forcing a player to do something. So I have the habit to have a generic task title, so to speak, but the action is really what the check is all about. So really what the player should do to finish the action. So in our case, it's grab 3 pizzas, and this is for most of you quite new, because as you can see, it's a check inventory contains count of item. It got recently added, as you can see, also in the game. So it's basically a better version of inventory contains. Contains has the limitation to not check for the amount. I mean, there is an amount field, but it only checks for the generic item which the inventory contains. But we need the amount of the specific item. So in our case, we have to set here 2 things now, and this is where it's most of the time confusing. And I try to make it just quick, because maybe we explain it more in the next video about examples, but for now just choose player. So where, in what inventory we want to check something in the player one, and what we want to do, we want to check for pizzas. And in this case, as I wrote, we need 3. This here, as far as I know, is not needed, but we can just need 1. As I said, it should not be required. Alright, this in general is already complete as a working mission, should work. But to make it just cooler, you can also give a feedback. You know, it's always good to have a feedback for players. So look out for messages you can show to the player. So in this case, we say, "Good job, pizza guy." And as you can see, every time you click in a text field or input field or text area, you see a kind of a little editor comes up, similar from forums or Word. You know it, I'm sure. So simple BB code. In this case, for example, we want good job to be bold, pizza to be italic, and guy to be underlined, right? And to make it completely crazy, we want the guy red. And this one, you can add here a color you like. Let's say orange. And as soon as you choose a color, it gets added here. And as you can see here, actually it's saved as a local storage key. So you choose your color you like, and even if you again refresh the page, you don't have to worry about losing a progress, as you saw, because you can just choose the color here again. Alright, and to have the Empyrion system complete, this should be just crazy green. So click on the green and you have this. And this is the final message, so to speak, for the player. If the player finished every task and every action, we can go ahead and really carefully tell the player at the beginning of a task something, if he completed the task, something, and the same for the action is completed. So let's just do, I don't know, just so you get the idea. Go. And the message in the PDA log I can show you in a minute. But for now, this is, let's say, ready. So the most important thing doing stuff in general in Empyrion is testing it. So let's go ahead and export the YAML. The YAML is basically everything which relates not to your input text, what you write here. And the CSV is what you want to export to have your text. So now we go in the game and hopefully it works. For that, maybe it's better to start a new scenario to not confuse you too much with console commands. So this should load pretty quick because there are only 3 play fields. And the first thing you want to do is check if it got saved. So, and let me show you. Yeah, all right. This happens from time to time because the PDA is not rendering and not calculated during the normal game procedures. Do not worry about it. It's a good use case we have here. What you do is just click on Let's Go and open the console and type PDA RD reload data. If you do, then press F1 again and you see your CSV, your strings, your localization strings are back in the game. And now let me show you the proper window again. This should have come up at the beginning. If you close the game, I mean in general, this command is the most important command if you do something with the PDA. This is basically your refresh button for the PDA. But sometimes this command is not enough. Sometimes the best thing you need to do is completely close the game and start again. All right, so, and here I want to show you just a comparison. This is how it looks in game. And if you go to the tool again, and here you see welcome to the eWPDA tutorial scenario, and you see here the same. So yeah, this is what we have set here, and you get a reward, etc., etc. But in our case, I want to show you if it worked what we did. And we have here the pizza delivery, only hot is hot. So let's start this chapter. We can skip or not. This is here because we have not set no skip to true. So we have this option to skip, which is useless, but all right, let's go. And now you see here on the right screen, we need to grab 3 pizzas. And this is, let me proceed here. I have prepared it. At the end, you trader, and the trader sells you pizza. So we need to grab 3 pizzas. So imagine this skinny guy is your pizza boss, and he gives you pizzas, right? So go to him and now just buy pizzas for 15, and you bought 1, right? And you see here on the right screen you have 1 from 3. So let's continue and buy 2. Oh, 1 second. Oh, I sold it. Oops. So again, buy. You see, yeah, 1, and then again buy. You see 2, and now we buy the last one. And you see, good job, pizza guy. Go, go, go. The reason why this is not green, as we have said here before, was that I reloaded the page, and this was not synced. I was basically too fast. Yeah, but as you can see, this chapter is completed now, and this was the usage, but also a little example. In the next video I show you more examples and a little bit more details about the buttons and options you have. Alright, I hope this was useful, and see you in the next video. Thanks.